Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We will leave 2 minutes more for later connections, and then we will start the session. Thank you for your patience.
Yo tengo el micro, ¿eh? ¿Qué de nombre hablas? ¿Sí?
Okay, I think we are ready. So let us present ourselves. We are the CirBioWaste project. I am Esther Molina. I'm a part of the lead partner. We are the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and we work together with 5 more entities in this project. The session of today will be an online training before starting into the interesting topic and the interesting matter. I will explain a bit the project itself. And then my colleague Ismael will introduce the rest of the session. So first of all, thank everybody for your interest and participation. This project is within the Interreg Euro-MED Programme. This is a program lasting for more than 10 years and involving all the regions surrounding the Northern Mediterranean. We are divided into different missions, highly connected between themselves, and our project specifically is related to the Strengthening and Innovation Sustainable Mission. This mission is composed by more than 20 different projects that are all coordinated by 2 governance projects. And each of us works on different topics and is focused on different things around this big umbrella of sustainable economy. Specifically, the CirBioWaste project is dealing with the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. And why so? Why are we handling this biowaste, right? We realize this biowaste represents between 30 to 40% of the total municipal waste. And it's a rather complex fraction because it depends on a lot of different parameters or topics, right? Depending on the collection system, depending on the citizen awareness, depending on temporal issues. Its collection is mandatory since early 2024 and is a key to reach the recycling and landfill objective. Without including this fraction, it's very clear that those objectives of the European Commission won't be reached. Also, as I have just mentioned, the quantity and quality of this fraction depends on a lot of stakeholders, a lot of actors, and its participation and involvement into this, both the separation, the collection, and everything. And not only this, it's a fraction that has a huge potential. It's a really driver for change within circular economies. It will allow us to obtain a lot of energy, materials, resources from waste that should not be unseen So this is where the project takes in, right? The main objective of CirBioWaste is to foster an innovative and sustainable biowaste management and circular bioeconomy in the Mediterranean area. It's a 2-year project. We are past half of it by now, and we are 6 partners from 5 different countries, but we are not alone. We work with more than 10 with 10 takers territories involved, where we are working hand to hand with municipalities to help them foster and improve all this biowaste collection. How are we doing this? We have 3 main axes of action. One is this translational cooperation, when we are working together with the different municipalities and sharing experience. The other main axis is the knowledge sharing. Activities just like this one, like this online training, we are trying to improve capacity together with this capacity building, we are trying to improve capacity across the Mediterranean in order to reach our goal, right? To improve this biowaste sustainable management. I don't want to extend much more. I want to take the opportunity to introduce to all of you one of our first results is the CirBioWaste Knowledge Hub. It's an online platform. It's already public and accessible. In here is structured in a website format where you can find different categories, from relevant EU policy framework to relevant documents to other projects to other entities or best practices, all related to biowaste management. At the end, it's a platform that aims to gather all this information and organize it so it's easily accessible, it's readable, and also, of course, from trusted sources. It's a way to centralize knowledge, so we encourage all of you to have a look on it and use it if needed. And finally, I also take the opportunity to mention that we have right now a technical support on biowaste management for those areas within the Interreg Euro-MED Programme. So if you're in a municipality or part of a municipality interested on learning more, please also don't hesitate in applying, and we will come back to you. And that's everything from my side. Stay tuned in our website and a newsletter for our next online training, which will be about community composting around autumn 2026. And of course, any help in us reaching further and spreading our events is always welcome. So without more dilatation, we can start with the topic of today, which is this pay-as-you-throw systems.
Yes, Esther, thank you for the introduction. Let me just make sure that everyone is in the room because we have some last-minute sign-ups and we want everything to be in the room. As you understood, it's a transnational project. It involves countries. In countries, we have different languages, cultures, specificities of each country. So it's not an easy task, but we're here to learn and capitalize on common knowledge. Just some rules of the house. The main communication language will be English during the main session, which will be the 2 next presentations, and a short question, final remarks until about 11 Portuguese time, 12 Central European time, and 1 p.m. Bulgarian and Greek time. Just if you could change your name just at the beginning, add your country code so we know where you come from. For example, IT for Italy, PT for Portugal. That will be very useful at the end when we have the breakout sessions. So then we'll explain better, but so we know where we are from. The first presentation of the day is from Maria Calaf. Maria Calaf is expert in pay-as-you-throw systems and chief of sub-area of waste charges at ENT. It's a Catalan entity. Maria, so now the field is yours. You should be able to share the screen and
Yes, thank
go
you,
on with your
Ismael.
presentation.
I share my screen and I start with my presentation. Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
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 Okay. Good morning, everyone. As Ismael has told you, I'm going to introduce the PAYT concept. The pay-as-you-throw waste charges is the meaning of PAYT. I will do the first part, and then Michele will do the second part. The outline of my presentation is the following. I will introduce the PAYT concept, then the main types of PAYT systems will be described. After that, I will explain about which waste fractions are normally recommended for charging or for being incentivized. And finally, I will talk about which technologies can be used to identify users. Okay. Traditionally, waste charges are often fixed. Okay, that is that all households pay the same. Or it can also depend on some characteristic of the household, like the size or the water consumption or the number of residents. But none of these criteria have the capacity to create incentive to the user to adopt any behavioral change. So the fairer waste charges and the only ones with the capacity to create an incentive for reduction and separate collection are those that link the payment to the quantity and type of waste generated. This quantity can be measured in different things. It can be measured in kilograms, in liters, in number of bags delivered to the service, in number of bins collected, or in the case of closed container, in the number of times a container is used. So the basic idea of PAYT is that waste charges should be linked to the real waste generated and separated by each household or commercial activity. In brief, this means that the user who generates more residual waste, that waste that cannot be recycled, and separates less, pays more. And the user who generates less residual waste and separates correctly pays less. This is why PAYT is considered a fairer system. For this to be possible, we need a meter. In other words, we need a way to identify the user and a way to estimate the amount of waste generated. Now we are going to see in the next slides how can we do that. Because without identification and measurement of the waste, it is not really possible to apply PAYT. Normally, the charge in a PAYT scheme has two parts. The first part is a fixed or basic part. This part is independent of waste contribution, but it helps to cover fixed costs of the service and give some guarantee of some sort of revenue from the local entity, for the local entity. Then the second part is a variable part, and this part depends on the quantity and type of waste generated. The variable part is very important because it's the one that creates the incentive. If people know that producing more residual waste will cost more, they have a reason to reduce the waste and separate it better. But the incentive depends on how the charge is designed. For example, it depends on which waste fractions are charged and which waste fractions receive reductions or are incentivized, and how much weight is given to the variable part. There are different things that influence to the incentive to make people participate well to the service. Okay, now here it's a little bit more the same, but I wanted to puntualize the fact that the PAYT has this structure, basic or fixed part plus a variable part. But in the case of the variable part, it can work in two different ways. The first option is a pay-per-use. So this is normally used for fractions that we want to discourage, such as the residual waste. Residual waste is the fraction that cannot be recycled or composted. So if we charge residual waste, we create an incentive to reduce it. And the second option for the designing the variable part is introducing a reduction per use. So a part that can be used for those fractions that we want to encourage, such as the organic waste or the poor biowaste. For example, a household that participates correctly in biowaste collection will receive a reduction. So PAYT is not only about paying more, it can also be about rewarding good behavior. So we can combine these two models. Then here I introduce a little bit the types of PAYT systems that we can define. Mainly these PAYT models, these PAYT systems can be classified depending on the collection model applied in the municipality. And the PAYT systems can only be applied in high efficiency models. So as we know, there are only two kind of possibilities, or applying it with door-to-door schemes, or applying it with closed or smart containers. With open containers, we cannot apply PAYT systems, okay? At the end, I will explain a little bit more the technology that we can apply to identify users, or even without technology, it is possible to apply PAYT in the case of door-to-door schemes. I will explain it later. Okay, now I will enter a little bit more in the description of each scheme, each possibility of model. But first, you can see here some pictures about the options related to door-to-door schemes and the options to close containers. Okay, I will explain a little bit more how function each one of the models, the PAYT models. In door-to-door schemes, one common model is paper bin or paper bucket. In this model, the user has the bin or a bucket, and this bin can have an RFID tag or another identification systems. The charge can depend on the volume of the bin and the number of collections, okay? But also can depend on the weight of the waste. But this is the last option that is shown here in this slide. This type of system is used in different places. In Spain, it is common in Catalonia. It is also used in some municipalities from the Basque Country or the Balearic Islands. Also in other countries, is widely used in Italy, Belgium, and so on. Then there is also the model where the bin has a predetermined frequency, collection frequency, and there is no RFID tag. In this case, the user pays annually according to the selected bin size of the bin, and it does not depend on the number of uses, the number of deliveries of this bin. This last model, has been widely applied in Germany and also in some cities of the United States. And finally, as I said, the paper weight. The paper weight is more precise, but it is also more complex and more expensive. And sometimes the data fiability is a handicap in this model, and it is not so common, the paper weight. Okay, then we have the paper bag model in the door-to-door schemes too. There are two main types. The first one is the prepayment system, in which users buy official bags in advance, and the price of the bag includes part of the waste charge. This is the variable part that you already paid when you purchase the bag. And this is the system, the most simple system and low cost. Example of that can be found in Argentona and Sportlanders in Spain, in Milano in Italy, and in other sites. Then the second type is the post-payment system with a paper bag model. In this case, bags have a tag or another identification element on the bag. Then the system, the collection system, records the bags used by each household or commercial activity, and then the charge is calculated later. This system allows individual monitoring, but requires data analysis. in the same case as the paper bin with tag. It requires that analysis, so it requires more personnel, more people treating this data. Examples of that can be found in places such as Lleida for commercial activities in Spain, also in Bergamo in Italy, or in Zurich in Switzerland. Then in the case of the other kind of model, closed containers, instead of door-to-door, as I said, there is the high efficiency model of closed containers, closed or smart containers. In this case, containers are located in the street and they are closed. Users, normally the fractions that are closed are the residual waste and the organic fraction. These are the two minimum fractions that are recommended to be closed so as to have good results of this collection model. In this case, users need a key fob, an ID card, or a mobile phone to open the lid of the containers. The system records who opened the container and when. And there are different charging options depending on the presence of a chamber system or not. In the case of pay-per-use, where there is no chamber system, the chamber system is a receptacle that is under the lid of the container that permits a maximum volume to be deposited inside the chamber. It can also weight the weight when you put it inside. But in the case that there is no chamber system, the only paid model possible is the pay-per-use. So the user pays according the number of deposits. And here we can also put a number maximum of deposits per week. Okay, this is also common in the models implemented. No, this way people cannot throw residual waste every day, but they can use it only once per week or twice per week. Okay, and the other option is the paper volume and use. In this case, there is the volume, the chamber system under the lid. So in this case, each time the user opens the container, only a certain volume of waste can be deposited. So it is registered the volume and also the number of uses of the container. And finally, there is the paper weight. In this system, the chamber system has the technology that permits allow to weight the weight inside. Okay, these systems are used in different countries, including Spain, Italy, Belgium, Austria, Norway, the Netherlands. Here in the slide, you can see in which of the described models are applied in each country. These systems can be very useful, the closed containers and applying the paid model, but require investment, require maintenance. The costs of maintenance are high, and there is also the need for good data management. So it is necessary to have people to do that. Okay. Okay, when talking about the fraction recommended for charging or incentivizing, first of all, it is the residual waste fraction, the main fraction to charge, since it creates an incentive for waste prevention and participation in separate collection. However, charging for this fraction may increase the risk of illegal dumping or waste tourism. This phenomenon, waste tourism, is the fact that is when citizens throw their waste in the municipalities, in the surrounding municipalities. So for avoiding these phenomenons, monitoring and data analysis mechanism must be established to control all this. Then, in relation to organic fraction or biowaste, this is also very important to include in the paid schemes, because it is often the heaviest part of municipal waste. At household level, it is normally not recommended to charge biowaste. because if we charge bio-waste, people may separate less organic waste, and this is not what we want. So for households, it is usually better to give incentives or reduction for good participation in bio-waste collection. At commercial level, the situation is different. Large commercial producers, such as restaurants or food shops, can generate very different amounts of waste. In these cases, charging the organic fraction can be recommended because the collection costs are also different between them. In the case of packaging waste, it can also be charged in some cases because it has prevention potential. Household can reduce this fraction. So by charging it, we can get this reduction. But the tariff established for packaging should be much lower than the tariff established for residual waste. Okay, so people are not, in this case, discouraged from separating packaging. And finally, paper, cardboard, and glass are normally not charged. If we charge them, participation in separate collection could decrease. So it's preferable not doing that. Okay, here I would like to point some elements to take into account in the design of this PAYT model. Okay, the first element is the election of the PAYT model, which depends mainly, as I said, of the present or future separate collection model. Is the municipality using door-to-door collection? Then select a model which fits with the door-to-door collection, or is the municipality has closed containers or has a mixed system, which is also possible. So then it's better to choose a PAYT model that fits with the both collection models. Then the PAYT, then the decision may depend on the investment also. So it's not only depending on the present collection model, but also of the investment needed and the risks of waste tourism to other surrounding areas. The systems more low cost are the prepared bags, as I said. Other systems require more technology, such as the RFID door-to-door, bins, paper bin, or the closed containers or the weighing systems. The second element is the structure of the charge. I have already talked about that, but the municipality must decide how much of the cost is covered by the fixed or basic part and how much is covered by the variable part. The basic part or the fixed part gives financial stability and helps cover fixed cost, but the variable part, on contrary, creates the incentive. If the variable part is too small, the incentive may be weak. If the variable part is too high, the system may create rejection or negative behavior from citizens. So a good distribution is necessary. The municipality must also decide the weight of the cost which is covered through households and the weight of the cost which is covered through commercial activities. And I will not enter into this discussion, but this is another important question to decide. And finally, a third element to consider, and of which I already talked, is which fractions are included in the PAYT model. I have already talked, so now we are finalizing the presentation with this last part of technologies for user identification. The first generation of PAYT systems in Europe did not use technology at all. For example, the models of volume-based systems by bins and the prepaid official bags, all with the basis of door-to-door collection systems, were widely implemented and did not use technology at all. These systems are still widely used because they are low cost, simple to manage, and easy to replicate. And these low-tech systems can be very effective, especially when they are combined with control, monitoring, awareness campaigns, and citizens' education. So these are still also possible everywhere. So advanced technology is not always necessary. Okay. But here I will introduce a little bit which kind of technology exists and can apply to the two different collection models that I have described, the door-to-door systems and the smart or closed containers. Okay. In the door-to-door collection, identification can be set to the official bags or to the bins or buckets through different technologies, through RFID, which means radio frequency identification, and also it can be identified with QR codes, quick response codes. Okay, and also NFC, near field communication. In the case of closed containers, the identification may be through different technologies. One option is also the RFID, and in this case, the user has a smart card to open the container. Another option is NFC, which can be used with mobile phones to open smart containers, but also to identify bins or buckets with this kind of tags. And another option is the QR codes, which can appear in user smartphones and being read by the container reader. Okay. In general, the minimum requirements for radio frequency identification are an antenna, a reader, and a tag, and a tag. The reader sends a signal to the tag through the antenna, and the tag responds with its information. This is the general function for the radio frequency identification. In the case we are attending to, the tags are passive tags, passive RFID tags, which have no power source of their own, so they are powered by the electromagnetic energy transmitted by the RFID reader. For example, tags attached to the bins are read by the truck's antenna or a wristband. Because radio waves powerful enough to energize passive tags are needed, the read range is shorter, ranging from near contact to 25 meters. Okay, RFID can be used in bins, in buckets, and in a smart cards, but it depends on the operating frequency or the wavelength emitted by the RFID reader. It determines its application. For example, in the case of smart containers, it is used the high frequency with a typical read range from 1 centimeter to 1 meter. So a typical application, as I said, is user identification using passive RFID cards, smart cards. Readers fitted. The readers are fitted on the lids of the closed curbside containers, and each use is recorded. Okay, in the case of ultra high frequency UHF, in this case, it has a longer reading range, typically from 1 to 6 meters, and applications include identifying RFID tags attached to door-to-door waste bins by using the truck's antenna, or also a wristband that the operator brings in his wrist. By using the truck's antenna, it makes the collection process faster because the worker does not need to scan each bin manually. But in some places, the wristbands are needed because the truck cannot easily access. Okay, and in the case of low frequency, it is also used in the door-to-door collecting systems, and it has been used for many years in the case of commercial activities in those bigger bins, bigger wheeled bins. For example, in this case, the contact is needed, and this contact happens when the wheeled bin is lifted by the truck, and then the antenna can read the tag in the bin. well. And the choice of if we choose low frequency, ultra high frequency, depends on the collecting system, depends on the reading distance needed, the cost, and the reliability required. This LF frequency, or the low frequency, is very reliable because it will be always read, this tag. In the case of UHF, it depends more of the operator, the behavior of the operator. So it can have more errors. Okay, and finally, almost final, the NFC technology, the near field communication, it allows the communication between two electronic devices. Usually they must be at a very short distance. For example, one of the uses is when a smartphone can act as a reader in the case of door-to-door, for example. And then with the smartphone, you can read the NFC tag that is fitted to the bin. Okay, but another use can be when the mobile phone is used as identification device in smart containers. So you can active your NFC in your app of the waste service, and you with the mobile phone can open the container. The distance must be of less than 4 centimeters. Okay. About using smartphones, I wanted to make a reflection. And NFC can be useful because many people already have smartphones, but it should not be the only system to identify people to the smart containers, because it has also to consider people who do not have a smartphone. Then normally are combined the smart card, RFID smart card, and the mobile phone with the NFC technology to open smart containers. And finally, my last slide about the QR code. This is a two-dimensional code similar to a barcode, and it can also have information about the user. And operators can scan the QR code with a smartphone or with other device. In this case, QR codes are low cost and easy to use, but they may also be less secure or less automatic than other technologies. And that's all. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any question, I will be grateful to answer to you. But now maybe it's the case
Maria,
of Michele. Yeah.
Thanks. Exactly. Yeah, some questions can be already registered here in the chat, and we'll try to address it in the final moments.
Okay.
So yeah, Michele, now the floor is yours. Michele Giavini is a senior consultant from Italy in ARS Ambiente and CIC, Consorzio Italiano Compostatori. Michele will also be talking about pay-as-you-throw. Michele, are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah, thank you, Ismael.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sharing, and my perspective is going to be a little bit different. I was asked to talk a little bit about the preliminary steps to be taken before the introduction of pay-as-you-throw, because pay-as-you-throw it's a little bit complicated, as you understood from Maria. It's all about technology, it's all about preliminary steps and so on. So as in Italy we have quite an experience in this, we have more than 1,000 municipalities on pay-as-you-throw now, so we can say something about it. Timeline. Yes, now we are 9 million inhabitants with pay-as-you-throw in Italy. So the first thing that comes to my mind when talking about preliminary steps and timeline is legislation. And so I gathered this information. I hope you can see it here. Full history of waste tax towards pay-as-you-throw regulation starting from 1931. It was Kingdom of Italy still. And at that time, municipalities were authorized, licensed to establish a waste tax. So then many years passed until 1982, when municipalities were asked by a decree to introduce a waste tax aiming at achieving a balance between costs and revenues, which is not taken for granted. This is crucial. Then in 1993, another decree said waste tax can be related also to the quantity or quality. So again, another 11 years passed before that. And then 1997, the Waste Framework Decree in Italy said the waste tax must have a mandatory variable part. But pay attention, the mandatory variable part was designed a couple of years later with standard coefficients. These ones, the coefficients saying that 2 people will pay less, lower than 4 people, and so on, according also to the surface of the households and so on. So standard coefficients, but more importantly, municipalities were given 8 years of time to get 100% of coverage of their waste cost through the waste tax. So first of all, don't think about any pay-as-you-throw if you don't have a waste tax, if you don't have 100% coverage. I'm sorry to say this frankly, but it's really ineffective. Think about not even having a waste tax and trying to introduce pay-as-you-throw through, I don't know, water bill or electricity bill is gonna just be a mess or a confusion. Then we also had a decree in 2017 specifying the measurement criteria for pay-as-you-throw. So this is our timeline, starting from pioneers, as Maria displayed, with the paper labels in 1999 through RFID buckets and so on, chamber systems, and then finally the National Regulation Authority, which is taking care of waste, also saying the boundary regulation conditions for this introduction. So I just wrapped here a table. I will not read it thoroughly, but again, the timeline should first of all start with establishing a waste fee, increase the willingness to pay and compliance. I'm talking about countries and areas lagging behind in Europe, where there is not such willingness to pay for a waste management service, and there are a lot of areas in Italy like this in Europe. So this is the first thing to be done, and try to achieve the full cost coverage, because you just cover 50% of waste management costs, then people is paying in a diluted way the other 50% through general municipal taxes. And then you have other technical things. You have to integrate databases. You have to establish, first of all, a complete separate collection scheme, including bio-waste. There are many areas in which they are thinking about pay-as-you-throw, but they don't even have organics collection in place. So that's absolutely a waste of time and really unnecessary. Then start with pilots, and then you can move to enforcement and other things like approval municipal pay-as-you-throw ordinance. Introduce no as-you-throw elements, which you will see in later on in these slides. So as we have 1,000 municipalities, we have a huge report which I suggest you to download. It's in Italian, but it's really interesting. It's including the results from these 1,000 municipalities. So we can see how now we are, you have the zoom button covering the chart probably. 9 million people, 15% of all Italian municipalities. The system is growing. There is continuous interest in pay-as-you-throw. But as you see in this map, pay-as-you-throw is really clustered, and we have a lot of municipalities in the north, a few in the center, and none or just very, very few in the south. this means something. If you know a little bit about Italian regions, you know that northern is more industrialized and to some extent the income per capita is higher. So this really means something. You cannot introduce pay-as-you-throw in area where there isn't much consciousness about separate collection and recycling. You have to take all the preliminary steps before that. So yeah, but results are impressive. We have 85% on average separate collection in those municipalities. And this is increasing. In this chart, you can see that really year by year, the number of municipalities achieving higher results is really improving and increasing. Also about population size, I was asked to tell something about what's the best population size. We have municipalities with very, very different populations. So you can see here from 1,000 to 5,000 municipalities, we have 500 municipalities with pay-as-you-throw. But we also have 55 with more than 20,000. We have 9 with more than 50,000, with very good results, by the way, like Parma, Treviso, Ferrara, and so on. But the golden spot is actually between 1,000 and 10,000 municipalities, because they group together, this is the key, they group into aggregations of municipalities. And this is actually encouraged by a new regulation under the new national authority on waste, energy, and so on. So groups of municipalities can have bureaucratic benefits. In our case, in Italy, they can prepare a single common yearly waste financial plan, which is an obligation in Italy. So they can delegate bureaucratic things, and also they can delegate completely the tax management to the collection company, which is something that is happening in some areas of Europe. Think about Ireland. They have a dedicated waste contractor in which citizens can choose the contractor and they pay directly, like your phone bill or electricity bill. So this can become a service fee, which is no more a tax. But again, what about pay-as-you-throw? Who is in charge of this, variability part introduction? Is it the private contractor or is it the municipality? And this is a good question. But before thinking about, again, economic things, I'm happy to see, because there is a debate about, pay-as-you-throw is attractive. You pay more if you generate more residual waste. Okay, that's plain and easy. But is it really the key to change your behaviors? I made some experiments and evaluations in the past, and I can say that I invented this acronym Know As You Throw, KATE, as a complement or a parallel element to Pay As You Throw, because I'm quite convinced that touching your pocket is not the only way to go to increase your environmental habits, especially talking about environment. There is also civism, knowledge, having the right tools, the sense of emergency, convenience, pride of being pioneers, for instance, and of course, policies. So another consideration is that a lot of municipalities, and I can tell you this from experience, have these kind of RFID buckets and containers and bags with chips and so on, but they don't have pay-as-you-throw, because simply they introduce the possibility of measuring the buckets and so on, but the political willingness is not so high to introduce pay-as-you-throw. So we have kind of 20 million people that are monitored, but this data is lost, actually not used for any purpose. So I said, let's use this data. And the theory behind is, the theory of nudging. Some of you may know. Nudging is giving constant feedback, possibly positive recommendations. And nudging is to be done without introducing economic incentives. This is quite interesting again. A lot of time we think about, let's touch the pocket, we have to pay more if you generate more residual waste. Okay, that's good. But nudging is not about economics. It should be without prohibiting any options. This is what happens when you go to the supermarket and you choose what they want you to buy because they put it in front of your eyes, right? This is really nudging in its most business and commercial way. And if you think about the invoice, I mean the waste tax, maybe you get it once per year, so you can even not realize about how many buckets you generated last year. Was it 32 or 50, 57? I don't remember. Noise Zero is, on the contrary, give frequent feedbacks, individual feedbacks, and individual sensitization campaigns, if possible. So a couple of examples just to show you what I'm talking about. Like nudging and noise throw is something like your neighbor is better than you, introducing the social norm. The average of similar households is generating this amount of residual waste. You did this other amount. So it's not just you generated these liters, you have to pay for that. It's something more. We did this experiment, which is running still after 5 years in Bergamo, in which bags are collected through vending machines. And when getting a roll of bags for residual waste, users are informed about their individual performance in a very simple way. There is bags have a code, a printed code here, so they are individual. And when getting it, the screen can provide this kind of message. Good morning, Mr. Smith. So this is addressing you. In the last 6 months, you picked 3 rolls of bags, and the average of households like yours picked as an average 2.2 rolls. So you can do better, please separate properly. Again, as you see, it's not an economic element. It's just saying others are doing better than you. This was the real implementation. Actually, it was even simpler. Remember, your annual target is 3 rolls of bags. Do you still want another roll of bags? Okay, it's a really gentle and soft nudging thing. Again, the machine then blocks. If you want too many bags, then it blocks, and you have to pay for more bags. So with this simple mechanism, the separate collection rate increased of 4-5 points percentage. You have the sense of being monitored, and more importantly, every citizen is going to this machine from time to time. So the municipality have a huge power of delivering these kind of messages. But this is part of other strategies like this one, which is very common in Italy. Let's not use a black bag. Let's shift to the transparent bag. This advertisement is just saying, don't hide, be transparent. And this is again the key. Some of you may say, no, I don't want to showcase my waste on the street. But what about, in this case, for instance, plastic packaging is not dirty. It's plastic bottles. So why hiding them? And this transparency allows you to put stickers on the bag, encouraging better separation and so on. And so again, 4 or 5 percentage points of separate collection more just by shifting to the transparent bag. Simple and easy and cheap. Another campaign done in Latina was done by putting stickers on the bins, just giving feedbacks about the quality of the separate collection. And those stickers, green, yellow, and red, they were removable. Look here, the yellow and red ones were removable. So if you want to hide your behavior, you can do it, but you are sensitized. So just to say that this kind of social campaign require some different skills that we as technicians, I'm also not a sociologist, but this is really needed when trying to change the habit of other people. And it's, again, in this case, not about economics. Results were very good also in this case. In this final case in Ireland, we did nudging by simply moving the brown bin closer to your entrance of your building. It was 100 meters away, and then we moved 2 meters away downstairs, and we got 800% participation. So again, also in this case, it was not an economic nudge, it was just a convenience nudging. I will go quicker about this, because it was a live project that ended years ago. In this case, we used WhatsApp to give feedback messages. Also about your own openings of the residual waste and the organic bin, saying you are using too much the residual waste bin, you are not using much the organic waste bin, so please do better, or things like this. There is no time to explain you in detail, but for instance, in this case, an interesting thing that we are going to replicate soon in Brescia is that we can deliver feedback about the quality of what's inside the container that many people use. This is again important. If you have pay-as-you-throw with the collective containers, you have a kind of diluted behavior that you have to take into consideration. It's not door to door. So you can say, well, I go there, but other 10, 20 people go there, so it's not my fault. But you can give this message back and say, maybe it's not your fault, but look at the quality of bio-waste. There is a lot of dirty plastics or whatever. So in conclusion, the use of nudging in environmental behavior improvement have been used extensively in some fields like mobility, water, but not much in waste recycling habits. So as there is a lot of focus on pay-as-you-throw, this use of solely economic incentives may lead in some cases, if not well prepared, to some adverse effect, even a not good perception. I can say you this just really again because we have 1,000 municipalities, so we are already in phase B of pay-as-you-throw. We are not anymore in the pioneering stage. And again, take advantage of the use of big data, because otherwise it's really a waste of technology and infrastructure and electronics things just for nothing. Citizens can maintain their improved habits if they feel surrounded by good performers. And this is the case in many areas of Europe, especially in lagging behind areas where probably pay-as-you-throw is not the immediate thing to be done. By the way, I'm now in one of them. I'm not in my office. I'm in this Greek island. So thank you for all the Greek partners that are following this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Thank you, everyone, for being here. There's only one question, which is very specific. I would like to half reply it and then leave the floor to Michele for maybe a quick reply. And Maria, if you want to add something. The question comes from Bulgaria, and it's about the not applicability of these solutions without provided funding. I would say that pay-as-you-throw, I challenge you to discuss whether pay-as-you-throw implementation is expensive, or what's expensive is what's before the model. No? So first you need a collection model that's customized, tailored, and then the pay-as-you-throw or no-as-you-throw comes. And then just to reply to the person who asked this question, then the country specificities can be discussed in your breakout session because of the funding programs of each country. So I would keep that part for a second discussion. Michele, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, very quickly about the funding. There are models that are really cheap. Actually, there is no need of much infrastructure, like Maria showed before. The German model, I've seen it with my eyes, and it's very easy. You just put a sticker every year. You pay 60 euros per year if you have a 60-liter bin. You want 120 liters, you have to pay 120 euros or something like really a sticker on the bin every year. So it can be done with the cheap infrastructure. It's not really needed precise identification of volume and weight and so on. So it can be done, but there are other things to be done before, which is one of the most important: organic waste collection for everyone.
Yeah, I agree with Michele about the paid model, which is the cheapest one. But as Michele said, the model must be implemented. The door-to-door with bins must be implemented before, and it has the collection model has a cost itself, depending in if you had before open containers and then you pass to door-to-door. And also the prepaid bags are also cheap, not so cheap, not cheaper than the paper bin model with a sticker, but it is also cheap because there is no technology and there is no data analysis, so there is not so need of staff. But in the case of paper bag, there is the need to deliver the bags, and as Michele showed, it can be done through machines or through the commercial activities that can sell these bags, or it can also do through the municipality who can sell the official bags.
Adding up on what you said, Maria, when we speak about the collection model, then different parts of the collection model, collection and treatment, have different costs. So there's not the same cost for collection and treatment of organics and the treatment of mixed waste, for example. So when we analyze the costs or packaging, you were mentioning, Maria, the packaging, the opportunity to either charge or penalize or use the packaging, the yellow fraction for the pay as you throw, then yes, there will be other costs. So when we speak about funding, we really need to check if we increase, let's say, the frequency of bio-waste, how much are we going to save from gate fees and landfill tax? Michele, go ahead.
Yeah, following up on what Ismail just said, it's of utmost importance to have a viable bio-waste collection and treatment schemes, economically speaking. Because think about this situation, maybe residual waste landfilling is very cheap, while, I don't know, composting and collection of bio-waste is quite expensive. Then you are asking people, you will pay less if you separate more organics, but then the municipality will pay more for that because the treatment cost of composting is higher. And this is a losing situation. It's absolutely important, first of all, and I forgot to mention, sorry for that this is a governance problem. You cannot introduce pay-as-you-throw when composting is more expensive than landfilling. Otherwise, really, you are asking people to separate and then you will pay more. You cannot pay less for something that the municipality is paying more for treatment. So this is really to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, this is governance, as Michele said, and it relates to landfill tax or incineration tax that must be set by the government before implementing these other measures like pay. So yeah.
Perfect. So, well, as you all understood, from one question we could stay and speak for a half an hour abundantly. So it's a complex topic, and we're going to now dedicate time to explore it with national perspectives. So the main session, the presentation session, the main session is finished. We're going to share we will be contacted for the follow-up, so you can access the shared documents, the recordings in the platform and everything else. Also, if you have questions, feel free to either contact me or the person who invited you. Now we are gonna sit in English and then in Portuguese, and then I'll ask each partner to do it in their language. We're gonna move to breakout sessions. So you will see down here. Don't go right now. Just wait a few minutes, please. You have here in the right part of the lower bar, in the options, access to breakout sessions, and there's the name in each breakout session. So you can transition, and if you don't transition, we will try to push you. But if you choose the language, that would be easier, and we will meet there. Once we meet there, we'll have a discussion, and then the session is finished. There's no coming back to the main session. Portanto, vou dizer em português. Vamos agora passar para a parte em sessões por grupos. Na barra inferior podem entrar, tem um ícone que leva para as salas e tem uma sala que diz sala 4 Portugal, portanto podem ir passando para lá e nos encontramos lá daqui a pouco. Esther, não sei se queres, o Karine. Esther, estás en mute.
Vale, perdón, ya estamos. Pues como comentaba Ismael, en la barra inferior de la herramienta de Zoom pueden ver tres botoncitos, tres puntitos que ponen más. Cuando clican allá, saltan hacia las salas de grupo reducido y pueden seleccionar la sala en castellano o español, creo que pone. Y nos vemos allí en unos minutos.
Ok, Elena, Caterina.
Ναι, καλησπέρα σας. Για το ελληνικό breakout session, την ελληνική συνεδρία, πατάτε στο υπερθυμό 3 τελίτσες breakout rooms και περνάτε στο ελληνικό κανάλι. Όποιος δεν μπορεί να το καταφέρει, θα τον περάσουμε εμείς.
Δεν είχε διακοπές, δεν σας ακούσαμε. Μπορείτε να επαναλάβετε τι
Ναι,
όσα.
ναι. Η Κατερίνα Πελεκάσιμα από την Οικολογική Εταιρεία Ανακύκλωσης, μάλλον φταίει το σήμα της Έλενας. Απλά αυτό που είπε η Έλενα λίγο προηγουμένως είναι ότι στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης σας υπάρχει more με 3 τελίτσες. Πατάτε εκεί και μεταφέρεστε σε λίγο μετά από 1-2 λεπτά δηλαδή, μεταφέρεστε στο δωμάτιο που θα γίνει η ελληνική συνεδρία. Εάν υπάρχει κάποια δυσκολία, θα σας μεταφέρουμε εμείς στο δωμάτιο. Απλά επιλέξτε μετά από 1 λεπτό αυτό το τις τελίτσες.
Okay, Katie or Georgie or
Yes.
whoever wants.
Здравейте на всички от България. Както каза колегата Исмаел, следващата част от събитието ни ще бъде разделена на няколко стаи за всяка съответна държава и молим всички участници от България да се присъединят в нашата стая, нали, съответно за България. Долу в поленцата отдясно има едни 3 точки, на които пише More. Там има Breakout Rooms, молим ви да кликнете върху това бутонче и съответно има стая 1 за България, отстрани в дясно има едно бутонче Join, като натиснете върху него се присъединявате към нашата стая. Благодарим ви. Thank you, Ismail.
Thank you, everyone. So the organization will be here in the main room for a couple of minutes to check that everyone went to the main room. Thank you very much, everyone. Feel free to reach out through email or follow also the official channels of our project, which will be also interacting with posts and content. Thank you all and see you around. Have a nice day.
Thank you.